So, we've done a few of these now. We're getting the hang of it. I'm going to go over just one of these ones that we've already done, but there's been a few people absent. The idea is that we want to do the x backwards. So we know the middle number always goes on the bottom. And we're trying to factor this so that we get something squared, meaning these two numbers are the same. They're exactly the same. They're two of the same numbers. That's why it's squared. So you're asking yourself, what adds to 18, but it has to be the same number? And you get 9. And that's how we end up with the plus 9 in here. And then 9 times 9 is 81, and that's how we get the number up here. But we have to make it equal to the number above it. These two have to be the same. So if I have 87, 81, I have to add 6 more. So there's the process all color-coded for you. Remember, you're just doing the x backwards. One thing we're doing to keep this easy is that the middle number right here is always even so far. If we had a 7, we'd have fractions. So we're keeping a little bit easy by keeping this an even number. All right, here's today. What happens if you have some numbers in front? If you look at everything we just did, there were no coefficients in front. If it was a coefficient, it was always 1. So it's going to be a slightly different. When there's a number in front. We know how to work it when there is no number in front. Like if it's a 1, we can do the exact same thing. So that's usually a good strategy in math, is to make it look like a problem we already know how to solve. If we know how to solve when there's no number in front, one thing we can do is go through and just factor out that number that's in the front. So if I take out the -2, I'm left with just x squared. And if I divide this by -2, I'll have a positive 16x. And then this would be a positive 59. And what you're going to do is solve that problem just as if it was something from above, because there's no number in front. It's just the whole way down you're going to have this -2 in the front, like this. But you're still going to do everything else the same. Okay? So So on the inside, all this is the exact same that you did before. Nothing's changed. Just a -2 on the outside. And then at the very end, one step more is just to multiply that -2 that we took out, put it back in. Plus 10. -2 times -5, positive 10. And of course, once we put this in Desmos, you should be able to verify if that graph's the same as that. You'll know that you did them right. So let's look at that. Okay, let's put them both in and see what it looks like. There we have it. And there they both are. Same equation. Same graph. Huh? So first step, we have to factor out the 2. Take out that 2. We're left with x squared. And 16x plus 2 goes into here. How many times? 63. Okay. Now everything else inside is just like normal. So what's the numbers? We got negative 16 for the here. Negative 8 here. Positive 64. Yeah. Squared minus 16x. And breaking that up. End up with negative 8, negative 8, multiply to positive 64. 4. Positive 64, right? In order to equal 63. Right? So this is the first 3 terms factor. X minus 8. Same number. Minus 8. And just bring down the minus 1. One more step though. I have to multiply this 2 back in. Remember I took out the 2 in the beginning? I have 2 things I have to multiply it back into. So I'm going to have 2 times this, and then negative 2. That's the last step. Don't forget to do this. It looks like the 2 is just in the front of the x squared already, but it's really been factored out from the beginning. We have to put it back in. Multiply by both. And then that should work. So it requires following those steps very carefully and closely.